There we
Good
go.
evening.
How we doing?
How's everybody?
Good.
Not the same.
Wednesday night, July 19th, 2023. How's everybody doing?
We're doing
We're
well.
doing.
We're doing.
Yeah, good to have you.
Yeah.
Welcome, Joe Stinger. He's always has some good comments for us, some good content for us to talk about. So let's jump right in. We were all there Monday night for Matt Strom. That was a pretty cool evening, wouldn't we say so?
Yeah, he was very nice, very good with the kids, so that's good.
Yeah, he was into it, I guess, for lack of a better word. He was into it, and he seemed enthused. Maybe I guess because of the whole card, the card collecting thing, maybe that kind of, triggered some of it. But he was still good, even when we were talking about his signature, his autograph, and how legible it was, and we got into that conversation a little bit, and it was just he just appeared to be for a guy who doesn't do a lot of these, he was really into it.
Yeah, very personable. Definitely a guy that you could like and root for, which is always really nice.
Right. Yep.
John, I mean, you probably spent the most time with him.
Yep. Johnny, we're not hearing you.
We're not hearing you, Johnny.
Johnny, we're not hearing you, buddy.
That's rare. Oh, he's muted. That's why. Johnny, you're muted.
Johnny, you're muted.
Muted him.
You muted him.
There we go.
Johnny.
There we go.
I was frozen there for a second. Sorry about that. I was trying to figure it out. He was very good. He had a lot of good stories. Answered everybody's questions really well. Not a big fan of the pitch clock. Also he understands the rule for the extra innings, but he's not a huge fan of it. But he understands why they do it. To save pitchers. So because he didn't like the idea, you get an 18-inning game, and guys got to get sent down to the minors because he pitched 2 or 3 of those innings, and he's burned out for that next week. So he said he sees both sides of it, but he'd rather it not be that way, I guess. So
I think my favorite part was, did somebody ask him what his favorite stadium to pitch in was?
Yeah.
And his answer was his favorite mound.
Right.
At Tropicana Field.
Yeah. Yeah, not the field, it was the mound.
That was his favorite stadium. He just said his favorite mound was Tropicana, which I thought was interesting, especially because Tropicana is kind of a dump.
Yeah. Yeah, but the mound's pretty good, he said, and
he said the slope of the mound was really good.
Yeah, it made him have bats being missing his pitches, so maybe that's the reason why the Rays are so good. Maybe, I don't know, pitching wise, the mound's a little bit different.
Interesting. We have to ask Zach Eflin about that.
We will. That's true. Yeah, next time we see him, we'll have to ask him about that.
Well, it's funny because I hadn't followed him on Twitter until after the signing, and he has some interesting comments about baseball in general. Because here's another tidbit. The baseballs today. He's like, you might get 4 good ones out of a dozen.
Right.
He said the stitching on the baseball is absolutely horrible. And I guess for a pitcher who uses different grips and holds the ball for certain pitches a certain way, I guess you can justify that conversation. But I just when you dig deep into a guy, there's some interesting conversation there.
Oh yeah.
But
he's definitely an interesting guy. Loves the cards. He said more of the coaches are getting into it. Caleb Coughlin, he's also getting into it now, where Kevin Long was, also into it before, and now Coughlин's getting into it. I don't know if it's to him. So yeah, it's a good thing. That the hobby's starting to interact with the players themselves.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's funny because there are several major league pitchers. Who was the most recent here in Philly? Pat Neshek, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I can't, for the life of me, I can't remember who the pitcher was that we had in the store. Because he looked over and he's like, "Do you have a recent copy of the Beckett magazine?" He goes, "I got some old cards I'd like to look up." And this is going back, probably 10 or 12 years, when the Beckett magazine was relevant.
Right.
And we talked about trading cards way back then. So for the life of me, I every time I talk about this pitcher, I can't think of his name, but it was one of the relief guys back, probably 07, 08, 09,
Okay.
But
the relief
I have no idea. Anthony, maybe are baseballs hand stitched or are they done by machine?
I can't imagine they are.
I'm imagining they're done by machine, but even in his lifetime, I feel like they would have been done by machine. No, he's not that old, so unless they're doing them quicker or it's a different machine, everything in the world today is to try to save a buck. So maybe it's not the stitching, maybe it's the ball's glossier on one compared to another. There's probably a million different things, but if I had to guess, I remember when I was young, I watched videos of them. It's like those science shows. They're still on. It shows you like how they make this, how they make that. They used to show you hand stitching a baseball, but I can't imagine even the quickest hands in the world they would want that to happen compared to a machine. Yeah. They're made in China. They're probably made on a machine, and yeah, if you don't have that quality control, he's probably not wrong. It's the same thing when you go to buy a hat at a store. It'll say, "Hey, 7 3/8," and then you got to try on 6 of them till one looks right, even though that's your head size.
It's just some don't fit. Three won't fit you. They'll be too big or too small.
I think it's all quality control. It's the same thing with sneakers. One brand's different than the other. I don't know that it's. I think they're just mass producing things more than they used to.
It makes sense.
Well, especially now when baseballs are being sold. Every other pitch that ball's gone, so they're using more and more balls these days.
Oh yeah, they definitely want to. I'm sure they want to make them cheaper. They're always trying to save a couple bucks. You go through so many, they toss them to the crowd more than they ever did before. They're trying to keep that price down, but he would know because that's his livelihood. If it's me needing a different pair of sneakers, it's no big deal. If he's going through 7 different balls in an inning, then he's going to know a difference.
Well, I think we've all seen, pitchers out on the mound, go through 3 or 4 baseballs that he wasn't happy with.
Yeah, Aaron Nola.
So yeah, there's got to be reasoning behind it, but there's you factor in too, that these baseballs are, what do they call it? When because they're mudded down, right? They're all.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I don't know if it's always the baseball. Maybe one guy in one clubhouse does it different than another guy somewhere else, and you got to take it with a grain of salt when those guys say that because they're the pitcher. So if they're having a little bit of a bad time with a baseball, they're going to want to throw it out. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the baseball's fault. It could be, but no. I imagine they're just mass produced more than ever.
Joe said he looked it up, and they are hand stitched. So
it's interesting.
Well, maybe that guy needs to retire. Maybe he's a little shaky.
Well, and the other thing too is now, within the past 2 years, maybe now, all the ballparks now have the humidors in the down underneath that the balls are stored in. So maybe that has something to do with it as well.
They all do now.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's just recently now. Other than Coors Field used to be the only one that had that, and now they all do, and maybe that has something to do with it as well. That the stitching is, just a little bit different, or the way the ball just feels. Maybe it's not the stitching; it's just the way the ball feels differently with the humidor.
Well, on a separate note, I always not on the similar but different. I always find it interesting. You sign a major league ball, for the most part, you have a nice pen; it'll stay on there for quite some time. I don't know about the current minor league balls, but like when we had the Eastern League balls and other balls that people would sign, theoretically, a minor league ball and a major league ball should pretty much be the same, other than the logo on it. But it seems like the ink on some of those go a little bit deeper. So I don't know if the quality on some of those baseballs aren't as good as the major league balls. I don't know.
Well, the stitching is different even on those, because when a major league pitcher goes down to a minor league game, they have to use major league baseballs instead of the minor league baseballs.
Mm-hmm.
So there is something different to them. What that is, I'm not sure, but
well, and it's probably a little bit easier than it used to, because every league up until 2020, every league had their own baseball.
That's true too. Yeah.
So you go, you get traded from one team to another side of the country. It's a totally different, which is silly. You would think that you would just change the logo on there. I don't know why you're changing the whole ball, but
right, exactly.
But now I guess they just have two you have to deal with: a minor league and a major league.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, we could have a whole show on because we've seen it with footballs as well. Where they prepare, what is it, like a dozen footballs?
Yeah.
For each team, and
they got their own kicking balls.
Then they have to be approved, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
And we've seen the process, I think, for on that as well, where those are hand stitched, those are handmade. We seem to see the process all the time, especially come Super Bowl time.
Right.
So, yeah, it was interesting. He was definitely, he was into it. We had a good time. I know I look forward to the end. I was hoping that, he'd be up for it. And, we had a little card breaking session with him, and that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
It was, his agent's into the cards, his brother's into the cards, the whole family seems to be, into card collecting. And for anybody that's, you need to go back and watch, the video and all of his, what's it called, Lauren? The Card Life?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He's got several videos out now. I know you can find most of them on Facebook, and probably YouTube as well, I guess, where he goes around to different locations, different stores, not just cards, a lot of memorabilia. I know one, it was out where was that one? In
Colorado was
Colorado, right? With
Yeah.
all the memorabilia dealer had all the different seats from all the old stadiums and
signs and pieces of the walls. And
Yep.
Yeah, it was a pretty nice show.
Yeah, it's a fun little segment that he's got going, and I guess it keeps him busy on the road. Keeps him out of trouble, I guess. What's Joey saying here? I don't know if it's true, but the ones they stitch in the morning or the afternoon are for minor. Oh, there's another storyline.
Yeah. I guess they get them in early for the major leagues in the morning, so that when they were fresh and ready to stitch, and by the end of the day, they're just like, yeah, this works. It's together.
Interesting. But anyway, we had a fun Monday night, and Anthony, you're bringing in who on Saturday?
Steve Blass, legend. Steve Blass.
Legend.
He's over 60 years with the Pirates. He played with Clemente in the 71 World Series. It's a nice gentleman.
What's his Clemente story?
I'll wait for him to say that story.
All right, it's a good one.
Short. He's got a good Clemente story.
Yeah,
that's the same one he's told about 700 times, but yeah, it's good.
He likes telling it. It's funny.
Okay, all right. Does he know he's coming into Phillies country?
I'd assume so.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
All right, I'm just checking. I bought a couple of those dual bobbleheads. You'd be proud of me.
He's going to sign it on the top of the head unless you tell him to sign different. So if that's where you like it, that's where he signs it.
Yeah, he signs it on the bald head, right?
Yep.
It's all good. Did you have him sign yours on the bald head?
Nah, I'm not about the bald head.
Nah, he doesn't like that. He doesn't like where he signs it. So
I'd rather
his is unsigned.
Yeah, if you're going to sign it like that, I'd rather it not sign.
Like he won't sign it on the little platform?
No, I don't want to cause a scene here, and maybe he will, but I don't want to. Well, I'm sure he'll do whatever we ask him, but maybe he likes it there because it's more room than that base. Because
I'm sure, yeah.
That bobble,
it's little.
It's a little bobble. I'm looking at it now. It's a little bobble, so that's probably the only room for it.
Gotcha.
But he's got a bunch. He's got an older one with Manny Sanguin. I'm looking at an older one here. I don't know how big the base is, though. But, yeah. He's a nice man.
Well, anyway, Steve Blass. He'll be at Carl's Cards on Saturday from noon to 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's got a Roberto Clemente story. So come on out.
He does.
Yeah,
I'm going to say he tells that story 6 times on Saturday.
Well, I'm sure most people are going to ask about him, and that'll be a story.
Very cool.
I'll go
Very
over.
cool.
And then, John, you'll get to tell him your Deuce Staley story.
Yep.
He will have no idea who that is, but you'll be able to tell him.
Yep.
Well, he might not do Staley, right? He played for the Steelers. I would imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Hey, he won a Super Bowl with the Steelers.
Yep.
Wonder if he changed his signature out there.
He did.
Oh, he did?
He branded it out there. He's got one for the Steelers. He's got one for the Eagles as a player, and then one as an Eagles coach.
Who's he get? I was asking who he got his advice from, but I'm imagining he gets his advice from no one.
His agent, he said.
His agent would, if his agent was smart, he would tell him not to change your signature ever. Why would you do that?
Well, because it's Brandon.
Well, according to Bill Mattis, he hasn't done a signing since that episode of 2.
Yeah.
He has not done another signing. So anyway, let's kick it in gear and move back to our red hot Phillies, huh?
Yes, they are
red hot. 27-10 in their last 37 games.
Yep.
Going for 5 in a row tonight.
Oh yeah,
Johnny, what are you thinking? What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, they got the best pitching staff since during that stretch. With a 3 ERA, including the bullpen, they've been playing well. The offense has been doing as well. Schwarber, 4 games now with the leadoff home run, which broke the Phillies record for that.
Broke it or tied it?
No, he broke it because Rollins had 3 and Odubel had 3 games with it.
Okay, good.
And so he broke it yesterday. Almost smacked Tyler in the head with it. It was right. Tyler was in the TV watching it.
So we can lay to rest for the remainder of the year that he'll be the leadoff guy throughout.
Yeah, probably. Unfortunately, I mean, like they keep saying. I mean, Rob's mentioned it many times. We win a lot when he's in the leadoff spot. So, us old heads don't like that, but think it's a little bit different. But hey, it is what it is. The team's doing well while he's doing it. They went all the way to the 2 games short of the World Series last year doing it. So, we just gotta, like it.
Are they gonna stay put now, or you think they're gonna do something?
No, I think they're gonna do something. Dombrowski was talking today. It all comes up to Harper, as we've been saying, it all depends on how much he can play first base and how comfortable he feels there at first base, making the plays over there. Because if he's able to do that, then they go get somebody to play left field so that Schwarber can be the DH at that point, get him off the field.
But then, I mean, help me out here because there's a lot of moving parts here.
Yeah.
And, you're not just going to place Harper at first base every night.
No, you won't. I mean, Schwarber will still see games out in the left field, at times. It's just because, you don't want to be stuck the same way. We were stuck with Harper being at the DH and nobody else could, do it. So you don't want Schwarber to be the constant DH all the time because you still need, other positions to be, taken up.
So hear me out. I mean, you're not going to go and trade off and get a big piece for the outfield. And to be perfectly honest with you, it looks like, they've got, I mean, if you even, call up Jake Cave, with Brandon Marsh and when Christian Page comes back and now you got Rojas to throw into the mix. Do you really need to go and get, a legitimate outfielder? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, they may not do an outfielder. I mean, there's still a lot of talks of, getting a third baseman, maybe Arenado and Bohm goes in that trade. And now you have Arenado playing third base as your power right-handed bat since you're missing that with Reese being out of the lineup. And then, like you said, you have Rojas and you have flexibility to bring Cave up if you need to play the outfield. Having Marsh and Rojas out there just for the 2 games over the weekend, it made the defense look nicer out there in the outfield. Guys being able to catch the balls, moving around. Even though Schwarber made a nice catch yesterday up against the wall. It just makes the defense better having those 2 guys out there. So yeah, I mean, you could, if Rojas starts to hit a little bit more, which is still in question, then that'd be a nice little move there that you can save having to make another trade piece.
To be honest with you, I mean, if you're going to use up, some of your resources to strengthen the team, wouldn't you say, maybe go and try and, grab another pitcher?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be another move too.
Because you can always use Sanchez as a long man out of the bullpen. I mean, that's what they did last year at the deadline, right? They went and got
Noah Syndergaard.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to get. It really depends now because the news today with Painter needing to get Tommy John surgery or recommended that he needs to get Tommy John surgery.
You guys are killing me. You're killing me. All my notes, all the work I did today, putting notes together for the show. Anthony killed it. Now you're killing it. I got nothing left.
Throw him out.
No, I mean we got plenty. We cover each other's butts. But it's it's that's going to be the big thing because now you were hoping Painter was going to be coming back next year pitching, so maybe you would have been able to let Nola go.
You know what, John? I'm getting a little sick and tired of Andrew Painter this and Andrew Painter that. I mean, we've been hearing this since spring training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just it's getting a little crazy because you got a couple of good pitchers sitting right in Reading that are ready to, they could possibly be on the move. Whether they're heading up to Lehigh Valley or they're going to head to South Philly.
Right.
Mick Abel. He started the Futures game. He had 2 strikeouts in an inning.
Mm-hmm.
You got McGarry there as well.
And his arm looked better too. He was up throwing 98 miles an hour in the Futures games, which.
So I think we need to turn our attention to those 2 young guys and see what we got there.
Well, who who knows what they're going to do? But you get nervous a little bit with some of those guys that you sort of brought up, because those are usually the guys that are the first on the trading block if there's some big name that comes up. And sometimes with a big name, it's a little bit scary because if they don't produce over those last couple months that you need them to produce with your team, you kind of gave up some bright young guys for some guy that you don't know if he's going to hit it or not. Obviously he could, but for a short-term sort of rental thing, that's never ideal.
Well, we saw that with Syndergaard, right? Because wasn't he the Logan O'Hoppe trade?
He was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that didn't.
Well, no. O'Hoppe was with Marsh. Moniak was with Syndergaard, and
all right. Well,
and Moniak's doing just as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, you gave up on a young kid there, and good for him because he needed he needed a new address. He's if there was anybody who's a West Coast player, he's a West Coast kid, and he got traded out west, and it's done him really good.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what Syndergaard's doing. Is he even still with the Dodgers?
Yeah. I think he might be, but just hanging on. They keep mixing guys in and out a lot, in their rotation. So
you're right, Joe. He does look like a different player. He just seems like he fits right in, and he's doing a hell of a job. I was a big fan of Moniak. I was hoping he was going to be, produce here, and he's another one of those young kids. He got hurt, and much like Derek Hall, got hurt, and now he can't find his way back, back into the lineup, and things kind of get a little bit ugly, and
But like you said, they both need it. It's kind of like Brandon Marsh for the Angels. Like he was their top prospect, and every time he came up, he struggled. Because the pressure was on him to produce and be Mike Trout. As soon as he got out there, and same with him with Moniak. He was the number 1 overall pick, and he's going to be the next Johnny Callison or Ryan Howard hitting home runs all the time, and it just wasn't able to be there because, like you said, he got hurt. He'd come up, he would strike out once, and then they would send him back down to the minors that next day, and
exactly,
and he just never got a full shot. And then when he got hurt.
Is there even a when you talk about names or people, sometimes the biggest name is not necessarily the best person, but who's the name that you would want them to get? And you have to realize that if it's a bigger name, you're going to have to give up some stuff. So, a lot of times people call up like the radio stations and they're, I like whoever. And they give you like Scott Kingery and some other schlub. I mean, you gotta give it to get. So,
well, like they had that one Dylan Covey for Ohtani type of trade.
that was a good one.
So, is there a name out there that you want? Because if there's not a name, my thought is if there's not a name that's grabbing your attention that you really, really want over the last couple of years, just go with the crew you have. They won 27-10. You know what I mean? Like, why do we always gotta change things up crazy? Let's maybe roll with what you got. They took a while to get going, but they took a while last year too. And it doesn't matter how quick you get going. The Pirates got going quick, and now they're in the dumpster. So, it doesn't. What does it matter?
Yeah, I mean, there's guys out there that are like second-tier guys, like Cody Bellinger, that can play the outfield, can play first base as well. He's a left-handed bat, though, so that's not like the ideal player. Hunter Renfroe.
But guys like that, John, what would they realistically have to give up to get a guy like that?
Hunter Renfroe probably, probably not any of the top guys. Just like a.
Probably one of the executives at the Reading fighting level.
All right.
Maybe Bardo. Maybe Bardo.
If I get league minimum, I might.
Yeah, I mean, it would be, somebody, just a low round or low level pitcher maybe, or a guy that nobody in the top 10 prospects, for the Phillies or.
But is there you guys just from watching every day? Is there a name that just comes to mind that you feel like you have to have, or not really? I mean, I in my mind, I don't see these giant names out there right now that would That's just me.
Well, I think, you got to find out who's selling and who's buying. You know what I mean? And the Cardinals appear to be, ready to relinquish, Goldschmidt at first base and Arenado at third base. So,
Right.
they're two big pieces.
Yeah, Goldschmidt's not a match though for the Phillies.
He's not. No.
I mean, even though he's the right-handed bat, which would be nice, type of thing. But if you're going to put Harper at first base, then there's no need for Goldschmidt.
But let's revisit that again for a second, because things might not be moving as quickly as as everybody thinks they are. Like, I don't know about everybody anybody can play first base kind of thing.
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot involved. They're probably at first base. You're probably the second or third, player, position player wise. You're probably the third most to touch the ball between the pitcher and the catcher.
And is that just a temporary thing till Hoskins is back?
Well, yeah, I mean, hopefully Hoskins, will be back this year. I mean, he may not be. He was pushing for maybe September to be back, and probably playing DH mostly, because he'll have a brace on the rest of the year.
You can only have one DH, Johnny.
Well, that's the thing. That's why Goldschmidt wouldn't be a fit, because then Harper would be, back to the DH spot, because he's not going to play anywhere else other than first base. And
And he's not gone back to right field and for the season?
This season, no, because his arm's not, able to throw and to be able to, because it's still Tommy John surgery, so it usually takes about a year and a half to recover from that. A little bit less for a position player, just because he doesn't have to throw 100 pitches in a game.
Right.
He might throw 10. He may have 10 throws for the day, and maybe 2 or 3 of them will be hard ones. He might have more throws really at first base, and I think that's part of the problem too, that they are a little bit more concerned, because more awkward throws. He may not have his legs under him coming forward with the momentum to throw home or whatever. Right. He might be a little off balance throwing basically with his arm.
Well, I think too. I don't think they don't want him to embarrass himself.
Well, that's the big thing. Yeah.
And I think for a superstar player, it's great for him to come back early and be able to do some of the things that he's doing, but I still think he's somewhat limited.
Yeah. Oh no, exactly, and that's why I don't know you would see him playing there. Every game from from whatever.
Maybe once or twice a week.
Yeah, maybe to get Schwarber out of the outfield. Give him a little bit of break, because I think he's dealing with an injury, with a little bit of a knee injury himself, just from watching him run. Anyway, it looks like his knee's bothering him. Because it bothers me watching him when he runs. My legs are hurting watching him run. So yeah, I mean, you're in that mix. Like, what do you do? Because you're uncertain what Harper can do, which then leads you to, obviously your big goal is to get Schwarber off the field if you can. Defensively.
Well, the Bohm to first base with Sosa playing third, and you always have the option to call Cody Clemens back up.
Right.
It's not like they don't have any options.
Oh, right. No, exactly. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, the bullpen's been solid. They got a lot of pieces, so I don't know that you have to go get another bullpen piece.
Right.
It's always nice to get more pitching, but obviously everybody wants pitching, so it costs a little more to get pitching.
All right. Well, we'll if time permits, we'll come back and talk more Phillies. But I want to move on, because I know Lauren is very anxious to talk about the 76ers and Joel Embiid and James Harden. And are they coming? Are they going? Are they staying? Lauren, what are you hearing? What are your sources telling you?
Well, I don't have any sources. I didn't like his comment recently about winning a championship, Embiid. Winning a championship in Philly or somewhere else. That wasn't my favorite thing. I personally feel like this team has done a lot to kind of cater to him and around him.
Preach.
And to kind of make a statement that sort of sounds like, well, if it doesn't work out and I'm somewhere else, then I'm somewhere else. So that wasn't my favorite thing. I think maybe it got taken out of context a little bit, but either way, that's definitely not something you want to hear in the off season, especially when, some guys are moving, to other teams, but for the most part, your core guys are still there. James Harden still wants to be traded, but I guess they're not getting what they want for him. So right now you're rolling pretty much the same crew back out there. They've signed a few guys to replace some of the pieces that they've lost. But
by the way, good luck selling season tickets with that. I mean, how you selling season tickets with a guy that doesn't want to come back, a couple lower level backups, and you're rolling out with the same thing again? I mean, who wants to?
I'm excited that Paul Reed's coming back.
I'm stoked. And funny you mentioned that, because they the signings that they've made, they were 3 big men. So now they're sitting with 4 centers on the team.
Yeah. Well, no, exactly.
That kind of tells me that maybe the relationship between the 76ers and Joel Embiid is short-lived.
Well, can I say this? So Joel Embiid's obviously a good player, right? But the problem about Joel Embiid is I think I don't know if the word immature is the best word for him, but psychologically, I feel like he can be taken out of the game where he shouldn't be. If he was stronger mentally, I think he could be one of the best players ever, right? But he is mentally, if a player starts poking him, and they know to do it, right? They see it like we do, so they get on him all the time.
Well, he's immature.
And he's immature, and he gets in his mind. And I don't know, after watching him for 5-6 years now, I don't know that he's the guy that's going to win you the championship. If you're going to build a team around him, he needs to be the strongest guy there is. And he also gets hurt a lot. And I don't know if that's him, the team protecting him like baseball players protect their pitchers, or if it's just him being a little soft. But I just don't see how you win a championship. I mean, you saw it last year with Harden and Embiid, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Only 2 guys shoot. And all you got to do is stop those guys. Tobias Harris doesn't even shoot unless those guys aren't in. So I don't know how you're winning with this team. And I don't really know what to do, because Joel Embiid's a good player. Maybe it's the best time to get as many things as you can for him, but you better make sure they're good things, because the city will not be very happy about that.
Yeah, I don't, John Evan and I have kicked this around a number of times, and, there apparently isn't a trade partner for James Harden, especially, at the level that they need to get back. So I guess, you're pretty much going to roll out the core group that you ended the season with pretty much. You're going to have a new coach. You're going to have a new, coaching philosophy. So I guess they're banking on, changing things up except for the players, and hope that the players buy in to the new coach.
Well, like James Harden, if he was on a really bad team, he might be the 1 star of the really bad team, which he doesn't want to do at this point in his career. If he went to a really good team, he might be a starter, or he could be even a 6th man. I mean, he's getting older, and, you could see him going to play with LeBron or one of those guys, but then, you got a bunch of old guys on a team. I don't know that he fits really anywhere but the Sixers, and I don't know that you're getting that much for him. I think people know that. So he's got to either stay put, or I don't know that he's the main issue. I think they need other things figured out that they – and again, and Doc didn't play any bench last year. So how do you know what these guys are worth? I don't know.
I got a feeling that something big is brewing.
Like what?
Do you really? Yeah.
Like what?
I don't know. I mean, for Joel Embiid to make a statement like that, leads me to believe that there's conversation out there, and maybe they're going to make a trade. Maybe there's going to be some big trade, and Tyrese Maxey and James Harden are going to be the new faces, and they're going to roll some new guys in.
Well,
I don't know that that's going to win you a championship. I mean,
that certainly isn't going to sell any tickets.
I won't sell any tickets, and I don't know that it's winning you a championship. I think
he hasn't won us one already, and we've put all our eggs in that basket.
No, I know that. I'm just saying, if you're going to do it, this was the year to do it. He won the MVP. This would be the year to do it. It's also very tough as a fan base saying, "Hey, we're going to get rid of the MVP,"
right?
But he didn't do anything for you. Like, you lost again, the same way as always.
So last Wednesday at Hanrahan's, I was talking to Patrick Field, who is apparently not a Joel Embiid fan. And one of the things that he noted as to why he's not a Joel Embiid fan was because he puts on the Jets to get the MVP, gets it, and then all of a sudden you see that excitement kind of go away. The Jets are gone. They're turned off. They're no longer there anymore. So it's interesting to just hear from somebody else's perspective about him not really playing to his fullest potential after he achieved an accomplishment that solely benefits him. It doesn't benefit anybody else but him to get that. And then you lose in the second round again.
Right.
I just don't know that he's as good as, that Jokic guy could have won again, and his team won the championship. That's like a once in a lifetime type player, one of those guys. That guy, I feel like, plays all the time. He leads a Denver team. I mean, I don't know.
You can also compare him to the Giannis. Same concept.
Yeah,
I mean, he put Milwaukee on his back and made them
same player and
made them a champion. And he seems like the most down to earth, willing to fight and give up his body to do whatever he needs to do to make that team win, and they did.
Well,
I don't get the same vibes from Embiid anymore.
It's funny because in a league that's much softer than it used to be back in the 90s, if Joel Embiid wanted to be a tough guy and score all those points, he could easily do it. No one plays defense. Stop shooting the fadeaways. I know it's not 1990 anymore, but if you really wanted to be, he could dominate if his mental state was there. I just don't know that he's in that mental state. I think he's a little bit emotional and soft for that position.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think for the Sixers, it's almost going to be better for them to stay pat because, and you're almost kind of giving up on this year a little bit because unless you can get a Zach LaVine or something for Harden, you're not going to, because Harden going away next year with the Sixers being on the Sixers this year gives you the max player that you can go get in the free agency. So you'll be able to get a big time player in return, basically as a trade by just letting them walk next year. And then the same thing with Tobias Harris. So you can load up on two max players by holding on to those two guys this year and trade, and then basically trading and picking whoever you want at that point, max player wise, and then be able to re-sign Maxey because he's your own, under the Larry Bird rule. So then you'd have the three of them plus Embiid as your big four. So
I feel like they're the one team in Philadelphia that you don't. And I mean, I guess to the Flyers to a little bit of an extent, but they're the one team in Philadelphia that you don't really have a sense of where they're going.
Yeah.
The Flyers, I mean, with the recent moves, even though they haven't been like moving everybody, you have a general idea that it's going to take some time and they're trying to figure it out. The Sixers seem like 6 years of being stale here, and they're just not doing anything, and I don't have a sense of where they're going to be. I mean, with the moves they made, are they winning a championship next year? Absolutely not.
No. They're not getting out of the second round again.
Are they going to sell tickets again? Probably, but if you do get rid of some, it's a business too, so getting rid of Joel Embiid is going to hurt you ticket-wise, but at the same time, you're not going to win a championship unless you start making some serious moves. I mean, they're just not making any legitimate moves.
And the other thing too is if you do hold on to those guys and you have the two max players, it's going to be interesting to see who in the league is actually going to want to play with Embiid at that point. because I don't see a lot of guys clamoring to play with the Sixers, play with Embiid.
Well, you look at those other guys that we talked about, like Jokic and Giannis and these guys. They seem, just watching them, not that they don't joke around off the court, but they seem very damn serious when they get on that court. They're not doing a DX chop. They're not doing which is fun when it's on your team, but like
they're not complaining to the ref for every
call. He's always complaining. He's always flopping. I mean, those guys just go out and play. And
you know what they do? They get their other teammates involved. Like we keep saying, you know, it was the Harden and Embiid show last year. That was it. And the other three guys go stand in the corner. You know, Jokic and Giannis, you know, they got 3-4 other guys on that floor that can hurt you at any time. And then they can do. And then if you go guard them, they take over and do, you know, their part. You know, Embiid's too selfish. You know,
and the problem is, John, I don't know if they didn't pass to those guys because they were too selfish, or if they just have no confidence in those guys. Either way is not a good look, because if you're the two players are getting double teamed, whatever, Tobias should be hitting threes. Niang should have been hitting threes. Everyone should have been hitting threes. You saw everyone got on Al Horford. Hell of a playoff that guy had. He went off because he was wide open all the time. There was no one on the Sixers I said, hey, that's going to be open. Then I'm confident they're going to hit the shot every time. Sure wasn't PJ Tucker, and it sure wasn't any of the other guys either. They're just inconsistent.
Yeah, well, that's true. But it's like what came first, egg or chicken? Because of, you know, they're not getting the ball past to them, so they're not making their shots, and then or is it they're not?
Yeah, but then when they did get the ball, they, you know, I mean, God, there was games that Niang, you know, he didn't have any points. You know what I mean? And he was missing some wide open shots. Forkmas couldn't even get, you know, any floor time.
No.
You know what I mean? You know, PJ Tucker, you know, nice defensive player, but, you know, did he bring that same mentality with him from Miami? I didn't see it.
Yeah, no, it's true. You know, but also, you know, when are they getting the ball in the shot clock though too? Because it could be, you know, getting the ball and they got to shoot within 2 seconds. You know, because the clock's expiring.
And it's also it's also, I don't know how much you would blame on Doc, but he let those guys kind of do what they wanted to do.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And you can't do that sometimes. I know they're getting paid a lot of money, so you can't yell at them and scream at them like you could back in the day, but they just did whatever the hell they wanted.
Yep.
It's true. And I think that's what they're going to try to see what Nick Nurse does. You know,
all right. Let's pull the ripcord on the Joel Embiid conversation. Are we ready for some football? It's getting close.
Yep. Next week we got training camp.
Birds go to training camp.
Yeah.
I know we talk about it all the time. Nobody plays in spring training. Nobody plays in the exhibition games. You know, they're going through the motions. You know, they're just trying to get their bodies, you know, in condition. But I think football players, there's a little different, program there for guys, you know, being in shape, getting in shape. But then there's game shape, right? Then there's, you know, that whole thing. But one of the conversations that I wanted to have, and I don't know if you guys have been following any of it, you know, about this new push rule, you know, that the Eagles were using, you know, behind, you know, Jalen Hurts. John, what's your thoughts on all this?
They're a bunch of crybabies. If you know it's coming, stop it. You know what I mean? And don't be a crybaby because you can't stop it.
So what is the rules? You can't just dive forward every 5 seconds?
Well, they were crying about it, that they were trying to stop it completely, but I thought they still allowing it for this year.
Yes.
So it's still legal right at the moment, but teams are complaining about it.
Yeah, you know, they're not calling. You know, it's not real football. You know, run a play.
Well, that comes down to literally one thing and one thing only, and that comes down to ratings and fans, and they don't want the game boring. But if a baseball team could bunt and steal and get guys over, I don't really care if they're hitting home runs if they win the game. That literally is dictated by the television networks. And maybe not directly, but maybe Roger over there is saying, hey, that's not a good look during a Super Bowl where they just keep pushing it forward, pushing it forward, pushing it forward. But there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, you give it a year or two, it'll be out. It'll be banned. It'll be banned for no reason.
Yeah, but it's like you're saying, it's making it more fun league because you're pushing it forward, so your offense is staying on the field. And the Eagles have a really good offense, so you don't want them to punt the ball away. You're now having to run one play where he quarterback sneaks it, and and then the offense is back out there. It's not like they're doing it for 4 plays straight.
No, and I think that's right for the football fan like you are. But when it's in the Super Bowl, which is where it was kind of highlighted, unfortunately, they wanted the ball thrown 60 yards every time if you can for 1 million touchdowns. They don't make money on running it up the middle, so that's where it's coming from. I don't think they'll ever admit it. They'll say something like, and I haven't even heard about this or looked at it, but they'll say, well, head-to-head nonstop's not good for your body,
right?
Or whatever nonsense they're going to say. But the reason is it's not as exciting as a 60-yard pass.
Well, tell the NFL to have a better field conditions then for the Super Bowl, and then they can run down the field.
That's true.
Instead of slipping around.
That's true.
Because then they came out, July 3rd, the NFL comes out and says that it's the Eagles' training staff was the reason why they had those issues. They had them wearing the wrong cleats. Well, the Chiefs didn't have a problem doing it. They said so. It was all the Eagles' fault. To take the responsibility away from them. Although the field guy was a Kansas City Chiefs field guy, so. I wonder why the Chiefs had the reason, the right shoes.
And he also admitted that the field was in horrible shape.
Right, but let's not let the facts get in the way there of a good story if we're covering up the NFL's butts.
Interesting.
But no, I mean it's gonna be a fun year for the Eagles. I mean, it's their offense is gonna be elite. You got 5 running backs that they can you're only gonna probably carry 4, but you got 5 quarterbacks there that want to or 5 running backs that will be able to do a lot of versatility for that team. So not that the NFL is liking running backs these days from the way some of these
probably 1 or 2 of those guys are going to be special teamers, though, don't you think?
Well, yeah, no, you will, but I mean, between Penny and Swift and Scott and Gainwell, and they even like Sermon, that they got from the 49ers that they got him from?
Did they bring him back?
Yeah, he's still there. Yeah, they're still liking him. They really like what he does. So,
okay.
It's just a matter of there's not enough footballs on the field when you got Jalen Hurts also in the mix for running, and then you got Devontae Smith and AJ Brown and Dallas Goedert to throw to as well. So it's going to be going to be electric out there for the Eagles this year.
Well, we'll have another sport to talk about, and it'll certainly. Maybe in another week or two, this Embiid Harden thing will sort itself out even farther.
I think it's going to go all year long. I don't think we're just running it back this year.
Yeah, I don't see anybody wanting to trade for Harden. I mean, he's as old as me, for crying out loud. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're not giving up anything.
And that max slot is more valuable than anything. So, unless you can get something that's
and Harden knew that himself. That's why he accepted the deal. So
yeah, he was out there for 2 weeks and nobody was giving him anything close to that.
Right.
So
exactly.
But that having that max slot open for the Sixers with the free agency class that's supposedly the best almost around ever next year. They could be set up pretty good with that. But,
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting, and so yeah, it'll be good.
All right. Well, here goes another show with not much Flyers talk, and I know you guys are happy about it. So,
No, it's all
We
good.
missed the Flyers caravan today in Ocean City.
I saw that. They were in what, Sea Isle yesterday, I want to say.
Yeah.
I think they're down the shore all week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Well, give us a quick. What did we miss?
With
We got-
what?
We got 4 minutes. That should be 2 minutes enough.
Jeez.
I'm saying, what happened? What did I miss? I didn't even hear anything.
You know what? I get excited when I hear you're going to be on the show and you're going to add some good conversation.
What is the projection? What do they think as far as what names are out there? Are they just trying to unload, or are they trying to get anyone?
They are selling everything in the building. The seats, the players, they're selling everything.
Does anyone want them?
Well, no, not really, because they got people they want to get rid of.
So what do you do then? If no one wants your players, but you don't want them, what the hell do you do?
Well, they've finally come to realization that they cut the one fella completely because they couldn't trade him.
D'Angelo.
They were willing to eat half the contract, and then that fell through, so they just cut him and ate the whole contract.
The AHL's against the Flyers. They don't want they had some moves they could have made, and they didn't like the way the Eagles or the Flyers were making the moves. So
again, you and I talked about this, John. They were trying to manipulate the cap rules and the salary structures the way they were, and they were trying to do things, I guess, around around the league rules, and they got caught.
Howie Roseman was with the Flyers there for a little bit with Briere, and showed them a couple little hidden tricks that he could do, and the NHL didn't like it.
Yeah. So they're definitely in a rebuild mode.
Yeah.
Everybody's still available. There's still talk that there's going to be a big deal before the season starts. Who it's going to be, who knows? But like the Sixers with big men, the Flyers are signing all these goaltenders. So I don't, you only need one goalie, but they got 4 or 5 of them signed. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see.
They're trying to add to a new saying. If you had 2 goalies, you have none in the NHL. Now you got 5, so maybe you get 1 out of 5. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know. It's going to be another process that we probably will be talking about for the next 5 years.
Yeah. No,
So
I don't know if it'll be that much. I think once they get rid of a couple of these contracts here, then Briere's showing that he's willing to do stuff. So I think once he has the flexibility of getting out of these bad contracts, you'll start seeing improvement. Is that going to be 2-3 years from now, 3-4? We'll see how that goes. But I don't think he's going to be sitting around waiting for an 8, 9, 10 year build. He's going to get there as soon as possible. With that build.
Lauren, one last thing. Do you have your vacation clothes packed? Are you ready to go on vacation?
I'm working on it.
All right.
Tonight and tomorrow, and that's it.
How's the itinerary looking?
It's good.
Yeah.
Packed. Nice. Very cool.
Yep.
All right. For those that don't know, that we're heading down to Ocean City, New Jersey for a few days, about a week, right?
Yes.
So it's our family yearly jaunt down to Ocean City, and we're all looking forward to it. So we're going to be hopefully broadcasting from a location next week. We're still trying to figure out all the details there.
I think we got the details.
Yeah.
As long as John remembers to give you his tripod for his, your phone, we should be good.
John, will you remember to?
I got it in here right now, so it's going to stay in here. So yeah,
it's gonna stay there. So
yeah,
there you go. Ball's in my court. So now,
and then Lauren will smack me upside the head on Saturday to make sure if we have it. So,
right.
Yeah, if Saturday wasn't here for Steve Blast, then there might be questions about if it was going to get down there. But
yep, we'll be there. We'll all be there for Steve Blast on Saturday, and then we're all heading out afterwards.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Anything else?
It's all me.
Oh no. Anything else? What's you nailing any new clients there in Reading there, big guy?
No.
No.
I mean, yeah, I'm knee deep in other things right now there. So
okay.
Yeah.
How many games left?
24.
4 more weeks.
24. A couple more weeks. We got a homestand next week, and then I think we just have. I think we have just 3 after that. I believe 3. Yeah, just 3 more after that.
Crazy.
Yep.
Feels like the season just started.
It does.
Maybe not to you.
But my brain says sometimes it does. My body does not feel like it just started.
After taking it on and off the tarp all the time. No.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, there's another week in the books.
Yeah. Big weekend this weekend with the Baseball Hall of Fame. Former Philly Scott Rowland's going to be going in there. So,
ooh.
Scotty's the man. I love him. I like them.
I don't like the way he shit all over Philadelphia.
Well, you know what? What was he actually wrong? Because all he wanted to do was win, which is what every Phillies fan at that time was saying.
I just don't like what came out of his mouth.
Yeah.
To me,
he's apologized for some of it.
Oh.
All right, so you don't disagree with me?
I don't know. I mean, I think he was right with what he wanted. He wanted the team to win, and they just wanted. He wanted to have the team commit to winning, and at the time they weren't doing that.
He bitched about everything. It wasn't just that.
And, well, he wanted to get off the AstroTurf too.
Yeah, that was another big concern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that time, the management wasn't always about winning.
That's all right. He was 1996 Rookie of the Year with what team?
The Phillies, 97.
Thank you. And he's going in the Hall of Fame for what team?
The Phillies.
No.
In September.
No.
In September, he's gonna be Wall of Fame for the Phillies.
Oh well, that the one that he denied, right? The one that he won't be there for.
No, he's going. They're doing it in September.
Oh, that's right. They got to have a special night just for him.
Well, he had something going on the 12th.
Johnny, I see you're his part-time agent.
I am. I like.
How's that attendance going to be for this Hall of Fame year? I don't see too many people traveling up for those guys.
When somebody offers me free tickets, you know they're giving them away.
You got to see the Crime Dog.
Well, he beat up on the Phillies in '93. So
we are really going back and forth here.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's all
closing comments, thrashing back and forth. All right, guys, have a great rest of the night, and I'll catch up with all of you real soon.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight. We'll be back at it again next Wednesday night.
Check out the new clothes in the video, too, in case you haven't noticed that Lauren spent a lot of time with.
That's right. I sure did.
There you go.
All right.
There's your plug.
Thank you.